All right, we are live. What's up, guys? This is Will Power from Real Talk Baseball. Carlos isn't able to be with us tonight, so I'll be hosting tonight. And with me and with us, as always, is Javi, formerly known as the Commish. What's up, Javi?
What's going on, man? How you been?
Just trying to reel in all this baseball. A lot of baseball happened in the last week, so it's a little hard to keep up with everything.
Sure.
we all have lives outside of baseball, so. It would be nice to do this as a profession, right?
It would.
This we have a lot more time to dig deeper and be able to do this every day. But unfortunately, we're limited to once or twice a week. So, all right. Well, just to kind of get into it, first thing that I want to kind of bring up is just some news and notes that I have. We are on a milestone watch this season. There are two former superstars that have kind of tailed off. They're at the ends of their career. And one of them is Miguel Cabrera. He currently stands at 2,994 hits. I don't know if he's playing today or not, but yeah, 6 more hits and he's going to be in that 3,000 hit column, man. They actually made a movie about that, Mr. 3000, with Bernie Mac. I think it was Bernie Mac. Yeah, remember he had like 3 games that got counted as double for 2 of the hits that he had. So he actually only had 2,997. So after being retired from the game for 10 years or whatever, he tries to go back to MLB and at least get 3 more hits. So that way he can solidify himself into the Hall of Fame. Now, 3,000 hits, that's a lot of hits, but maybe back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, that would be enough to get you into the Hall of Fame. But now it just seems like there's so many hitters, so many good hitters that it's going to be more common than it used to be. So
right.
I honestly, I think Miggy is a Hall of Famer either way, whether he gets 3,000 hits or not. But, as a player, you're always trying to compete with other teams, with other players, and with yourself. So I'm absolutely 100% sure he's going to get there, only needing 6, and it's the beginning of the season. The next guy that we have to talk about is, of course, Albert Pujols.
Right.
That's another milestone watch. He needs 20 more home runs to get to that 700. So that's a lot of home runs, man. That's some very small company that he's going to be with in that group if he actually does hit it. 20 home runs, I think that's a lot to ask for from Albert Pujols.
It is.
The last time that we saw him hit 20 home runs in a season. I think it's been a little bit. It is going to be a little bit easier now with the DH and the National League. So he did sign a 1-year deal with the St. Louis Cardinals. Finishing off his career, he already announced that he's retiring after this season. So this is going to be it, man. I still think, the same thing about Pujols that I said about Miggy, that he is a for sure Hall of Famer. I don't think that there's any – I think he's probably going to be first ballot.
I think both of them should qualify as first ballot Hall of Famers. It's crazy how we're talking about this because these players, I literally grew up watching these players from when they started. Like you talk about Miguel Cabrera right now, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember he used to do this and he used to do that and he used to hit like this. And now you kind of hear about him, and it's not an afterthought, but you're like, he's not the star anymore. You know what I mean? And it's cool that he still plays for the same team, the Tigers. And
that's almost unheard of now, man.
Yeah, dude. Like for you to last that long, it reminds me of like Kobe Bryant. He played for the Lakers this whole freaking career.
Yeah.
And for him to do that and be 6 hits away from 3,000, that's huge. Whether he gets it or not, like you said, I don't think it matters. To me, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Period. Pujols. It might be a little bit hard for him to get to those 20. It could happen though because of the DH. But it's kind of nostalgic to think about both these players, and we pretty much grew up watching them, from rookies up until now, and it's great for baseball, man.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch these milestones, as they come to fruition. I believe it was Clayton Kershaw that had like a certain amount of wins that he had to get to. Was it last year? Maybe the year before. But yeah, dude, he I believe he hit the wins just like these other two guys, and we're watching at the end of these guys' careers, and like you said, it's exciting to watch these guys, remembering when they first get called up to the majors. Remember, how is this rookie going to be? That this is what we're going to be thinking about 10 years from now with, guys like Trey Turner, guys like, guys that are going to be hit free agency pretty soon that still have about 10 to 15 years left on their major league careers. So it's going to be exciting to see, what's going to happen in the future. And it's exciting to see what's going on now.
Yeah.
All right. So actually going into the prospect discussion, one of the notes that I have is that 10 of the top 100 prospects debuted in the first week of the 2022 season. And that's including 4 of the top 10. Now, usually we don't see anything like that in previous seasons because, a lot of times major league teams, they want to save the service time and they don't want to bring up their prospects too early because then they lose a year of their service time for their current team. But now there's a little bit of compensation for teams that actually do call up their prospects pretty early. So one of the things that we were talking about is for prospects that come up that are rookie eligible, meaning that they have enough service time during that particular season to qualify to become the rookie of the year. Whoever wins the rookie of the year, that team gets draft pick compensation. Other than that, there's also teams that have rookies come up, prospects come up that finish in the top 3 in Cy Young voting or MVP voting, also get draft pick compensation. So that's great to see, because now we actually get to see these guys make the major league roster on opening day, which we've never really been able to see before. Guys in the past that have made opening day roster, but I mean, really, it's like the guys that have been in AAA that have been held back for so long, for 3 or 4 years, and then they finally get to come up at 23 years old. But look at Julio Rodriguez, man, 21 years old, solid power, good speed. There's a lot of top prospects out there that deserve that chance, and we're finally going to see them get that chance. Another reason why they're getting called up is because the rosters have expanded from 26 players. In previous seasons, it's always been 26. Now, because of the shortened spring training, we're actually going to see 28-man roster. The 26. So that 2 extra roster spots, it opens up a spot for one of these guys that could potentially be a game changer.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great thing for baseball, especially for these guys that are trying to make a name for themselves. I had one of these guys rostered in my squad on fantasy, and I ended up dropping him.
Oh, which one's that?
Abrams, and he hit the bomb yesterday, and I'm like,
dude, it sucks when that happens. I have Julio Rodriguez in 2 of my leagues, right? And one of them is a keeper league, so I'm definitely not dropping him. But I think in my points league, in our league, the Real Talk Baseball League, it's so hard to hang on to a guy like that when it's been 7 games, 8 games, or something like that. But he just hasn't done anything. I think he's gotten 2 hits out of 18 at bats. It's no home runs, 2 stolen bases.
Rookie slump,
Exactly.
It's gonna happen. These guys are not used to major league pitching. They're used to the AAA or the AA stuff, and once you hit the majors, you're seeing something totally different.
It's a whole different ball game, man. Those balls move so much more than they used to. They move a lot faster than they used to. You're dealing with top tier pitching on a daily basis.
But it's so cool though, because if you're hanging on to one of these guys and he blows up, man, you're just like, yo, I made that pick.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I got Julio Rodriguez in the 18th round. And I'm just I keep on holding on to him, just hoping that he finally does something. I might have even dropped him today. I don't remember if I did or not, because I definitely needed to. I'm facing Tony this week in our podcast league, so I know, man. I need to turn it up. He has like 8 pitchers going in the next today, tomorrow, and Sunday, and I think I only have like 3. I'm leading by like 50 points, so it's really going to be it's going to be down to the wire. I added one pitcher for today. I didn't get a chance to look at the scores yet because I've been trying to prepare for the podcast today. But I got hope. I mean,
hey,
even so, it's just week one, right?
Anything can happen.
I know, man. Week one, of course, I have to go against someone that's part of this show that we have, and really, week one is going to be all about bragging rights for either me or Tony. You know, and maybe if it comes down to it, it's going to be that like tiebreaker at the end of the season to see who advances in the playoffs. We'll see.
Yeah, Tony, I hope your team takes a shit, bro.
That makes two of us. All right. So next thing is, we already talked about how spring training was a little bit shorter than usual. I think by like a week and a half or 2 weeks. So usually by this time, there's been a lot of starting pitchers that have already gone. There's been a lot of baseball games already. And if you want to break it down, there's 30 teams. So there's 15 games every day. We are on like day 8 right now. So 15 times 8. I'm not going to do that math right now, but it's definitely like, close to like 200 or something. So in the past 200 starts from MLB pitchers, you got some gnats over there or what?
Yeah, it's a little freaking
fruit fly.
Yeah, some little shit.
So out of like 200 starts, there's been 23 quality starts. So only 23 quality starts. Now, it's not saying that those pitchers have done bad, because usually a quality start means that they had a really good outing. The problem is these guys aren't stretched out enough to go 6 innings, and the quality start is 6 innings with allowing 3 runs or less, 3 earned runs or less. So we're seeing a lot of these guys only go 4 1/3, 4 2/3, maybe 5. There's a handful that have gotten.
For fantasy players, I'm pretty sure it's very frustrating, man.
Yeah, it is very frustrating.
You're looking at it, you're like, dude, let him pitch, but it's like these guys aren't stretched out enough for them to make, to have them keep going. It's like, we were talking about the whole Kershaw thing, right? Everybody was saying like Dave Roberts made the wrong move of taking him out. Honestly, I think he made a great move.
Yeah, man. I mean,
it was the whole, what is it, for like the perfect game, right?
It was a perfect game going into the 8th inning. It was a perfect game. And, Kershaw being Kershaw, of course, he wants to stay into the game.
Of course.
He was at 80 pitches, really low pitch count. He probably could have finished the game and stayed under 100. But first start of the year, even when you have a full spring training, you still don't want to push these guys to 100 pitches. Even 80 is kind of pushing it when they were shortened on their spring training,
and then he has like a history of injuries, so you kind of want to avoid that. I think it was a great call. I would have loved to see him pitch the whole game, but I think he made a comment afterwards when they asked him about it, and he said something about like it's about spring training, pretty much saying the fact that it was shortened. Coach said, take me out, whatever, it is what it is. But I think it, for fantasy and at a fantasy perspective, it kind of sucks because you know that you want that quality start, because that's points, and when your pitcher is like at 70 pitches and they take them out like in the 4th, 5th inning, you're like, man, really? Don't do this to me now, especially if you're losing.
Yeah, it sucks as a baseball fan to see stuff like that, and it sucks as a fantasy baseball player or team owner to see stuff like that too. But you got to realize this is 162 games. These guys make, in a good season where they stay healthy, 30 to 35 starts, and letting him stay in for the first start of the season, throwing 100 pitches. We don't know what could have happened, to Clayton Kershaw. Like you said, he's had a injury-ridden career the last like 3 or 4 years or so, and I personally think that Dave Roberts made the right call as well. These guys, these managers, these coaches, they're there to lead these players, just like a parent would, and you don't want to put your kids into into harm's way, just like the managers and the coaches don't want to put their players into harm's way. So good job for Dave Roberts. I think that that it was a good decision. I think the general baseball population kind of feels the same way as well.
Yeah. I think it was a good call, man. Good for him.
All right. So next, let's see. I wanted to talk about the next pitching prospect that's actually coming up that didn't make the opening day roster for the San Diego Padres, but has just recently been called up because Blake Snell went on the IL with an injury. So I believe Blake Snell is going to miss 1 or 2 starts. I don't think it's anything huge. I have that later in the injury report. But Mckinsey Gore, man. Mckinsey Gore is a top 5 prospect. We talked about these prospects that got called up to be part of the opening day roster. He was one that didn't, but luckily enough, he's going to be there for the end of week 2 or the end of regular baseball week 2, not fantasy baseball, because our week 2 is next week. But what do you think, man? You got any predictions that you want to make?
Yo,
I wouldn't. That's a big test for a very young arm that has been called wild in the past. He's had a couple in AAA this year that have been pretty good. I believe he only had like 1 or 2 walks, but the walks have killed him in the past. What do you think about tonight?
Man, I'm kind of rooting for this guy. I think when I heard that he was like the number 1 pitching prospect, I was kind of holding on to him on one of the leagues. On my league, I think I had him for a while, thinking that they would bring him up, and they never did, right? And for the same reason, because he was kind of erratic with his pitching, and you could see it, and I think now that he's a little bit more seasoned, he might be ready, dude. Like I'm kind of predicting that he might break out. Honestly, I think he's ready.
I really hope so, because I have in our podcast league.
Yeah, and it sucks because what do you do once Snell comes back? And let's say he pitches great,
right?
Like, what do you do? And you still got Clevenger. Clevenger's supposed to come back, I think, soon after a couple of starts.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? If he pitches great, you can't just take him out. You're giving him a taste of the major league, and let's say he pitches like a great game. What are you gonna do? You're gonna throw him back into AAA? That's gonna suck,
No, I personally think that he would be put into a long relief role, like a mid relief role. He'll probably pitch 2 or 3 innings a couple times a week, to get a little bit more MLB time, And I think that if all goes well for him and he pitches, at like what he should be pitching at, I think he'll stick around for the entire 2022 season. And if the Padres are going to make the playoffs this year, which they probably are because of the expanded playoffs, a lot of teams are making the playoffs this year. I really think that they're going to need him because their bullpen, it's been good in the past couple years, but having Mckinsey Gore, the top prospect in the bullpen with those other good arms, I really don't think anything wrong could come from that. And if I was the Padres manager, I would definitely keep him around.
You know who he reminds me of? Like if he was to put into that kind of role, is the guy from the Sox, Kopech. Yeah, because they were using him in relief, I believe, right? Because
he started out as a starter, but they put him in the bullpen because he got hurt, and then when he got back, they put him into the bullpen.
Yeah, so he kind of reminds me of that. Like if he were to stick around with the squad, that's the kind of position that I see him doing. Like you said, like long relief, especially if they make the playoffs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm rooting for this guy, man. I think I'm hoping that he breaks out, man, because he's been waiting for this. I mean, how many years, bro? Like, what is this, 3rd year, 4th year, something like that? Like, I think he's ready, dude. And when is he pitching? Tomorrow, right?
Tonight.
Oh, tonight. Oh,
yeah. Versus the Braves. I believe it's
a tough lineup.
Yeah. So it's at the Padres Stadium. So
if he can get through those bats, yeah.
He has really good swing and miss stuff. He has a good arsenal. He throws heavy, throws hard, so he has all the makings to be a potential ace for any squad out there. I think what's also going to be in his favor is that Yu Darvish is constantly going on the IL. It's like on the IL, and then he's back in 15, 20 days or whatever. He'll miss like a start or two, and then he'll pitch for a couple months, and then he'll go back on the IL. So we're probably going to see some sporadic starts for Mckinsey Gore, but I'm definitely predicting that he's going to stay up with the big club at least for the whole season, as long as he can keep his composure up there, keep the walks down. I think that there's no reason why they should be sending him down to AAA.
You're only saying that because you picked them up. I know.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping.
I saw that.
Next, just want to mention some pitching standouts that we've seen. Now, the only one that I really have on my list here that we were definitely thinking like, oh, that he's definitely going to be a pitching standout is Logan Webb. First outing, he goes 6 innings, had 3 strikeouts, only allowed 1 run versus the Marlins. And then he next outing versus the Padres, he went 8 innings, 7 Ks, and only allowed 1 earned run. So
he's picking up
Logan Webb, man, he had a great season last year, and he just picked up right where he left off last year. So
yeah, pretty much.
I was really hoping to get him this season. I didn't get a chance to. Do you own any Logan Webb anywhere?
Nah. The one I was looking at that nobody kind of saw, well, at least I didn't see that he was going to be pitching like this, is the guy from the Mets, Mcgill.
Oh, Mcgill.
Mcgill.
Yeah.
He's been pitching lights out. I didn't see this coming, honestly. The guy, he has good stuff, from last season. I don't really have the stats on him, but like from last season, but he has 2 starts, 3 hits total in both starts. And one game he had 5 Ks, second game he had 6 Ks. Fantasy wise, that's 42 points for somebody that you don't really see as a potential ace type of pitcher, you know what I mean? So that kind of threw me off. Like, I was like, man, wow. I think he was on the waivers. I don't think nobody picked him up.
No one drafted him?
Yeah,
really?
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
So I see here in the 2021 season, he pitched 89 innings, had 99 strikeouts, so a little bit more than a K per inning. That's good.
Yep.
A 4.52 ERA with a 128 WHIP.
Yeah,
that's not so great. But
you see, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you see what he's doing these first 2 games, and you're like, huh? Like, it makes you think, like, I didn't see this from him last year. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
his velocity actually went up a bit. So last season, he topped out around 96.7 miles per hour. This year, he's up to 98.9. And if you're throwing 99 miles an hour, that is just straight gas, man.
Yep.
And you were just going to blow by almost every opponent that you face. 99 miles an hour with a couple of breaking pitches mixed in. If you have a good pitch selection, a good catcher to kind of like guide you as well, that's really going to help. And the Mets, is it Garver? No. Who's the Mets catcher? I know it's a veteran.
Oh no. Damn.
I don't remember. We'll get back to that later. But having a veteran catcher, guiding like these younger pitchers like that, you can't go wrong with that.
Right.
Tyler Mcgill actually is on my standouts. It would have been nice to see him go a little bit longer in his starts, but we already talked about
I agree.
that spring training. He went 5 innings with 6 Ks and no earned runs at Washington, and then 5 1/3 innings with 6 Ks, no earned runs at Philly. So Philly is definitely a better lineup than Washington. If he can get through 5 1/3 with 6 Ks and no earned runs, that's a pretty decent start, for a younger guy. So I'd like to see him go at least 6. Be a little bit more fantasy relevant, but as we've seen in the past few years, the 6 inning pitchers are kind of becoming far and in between. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these managers, it's not even really the pitcher, it's really the managers don't want the pitcher to see the batting order the 3rd time around.
Right.
You go around once, you go around twice, and then if you're not the ace, you're done. We're taking you out, which is kind of like taking a playbook, a play out of the Rays playbook, right? Remember what happened with Blake Snell, World Series a couple years ago?
Yes.
You know, that's basically what we're seeing now, but it's all of baseball. It's not just the Rays. You know, 5 innings is just good enough. You know, just get through 5, and then we're gonna pull you out. And we have a couple guys back here that are gonna kind of back you up.
It's all like analytics and stuff like that, man.
Exactly, which is fine. That's the way the direction of the game is going.
Definitely.
But in the fantasy world, you want to try to pick up those guys that are usually the guys that can throw six innings. A lot of times, though, which we've seen in the past, is those guys that throw 6 innings or more are usually the ones that get hurt more often also. So maybe 5 innings actually is the way to go. I don't know. So next thing I want to talk about is another Padres pitcher who just got traded to the Padres. That's Sean Manaya. He went 7 innings, 7 Ks, no earned runs versus the Diamondbacks, and 6 innings, 6 Ks with 2 earned runs versus the Giants. Now the Diamondbacks, they're low budget team. No one really cares too much about what they're doing. They're probably not going to make the playoffs, even with the expanded playoffs. But the Giants, that had the best overall record in baseball last season, who basically have the same lineup that they have, minus Buster Posey. To go 6 innings and 6 Ks, only give up 2 runs against the Giants. I like to see that. Another Padres pitcher that we have to talk about is Joe Musgrove. Went 6 innings, 8 Ks, 2 earned runs against the Diamondbacks, and 6 2/3 innings. So Musgrove actually went 6 and 6 2/3 in his first 2 starts. So that's great for fantasy owners, whoever owns that guy.
Man.
6 2/3 innings with 6 Ks, 0 earned runs versus the Braves.
I have him on my list too. I got Manaya, and I got Musgrove, and I got Webb. All the guys you talked about, they're right there. They're like right there, dude. It's crazy.
All right,
like so I like that whole Manaya. Like, I think change of scenery. You know how usually that works.
Yeah.
You go into a squad that could potentially make the playoffs, as opposed to the Oakland Athletics,
right?
And that's just like a spark. Like, okay, I'm on a good team. I want to show what I got. And man, he lights out against the Giants. If you can pitch like that, you're doing something right, man.
Yeah, and within his own division also. So
exactly,
it's great. And it's not like these guys have never seen them before, because he pitched on the West also. And the West always plays the West, whether it's American League or National League. So the Giants have definitely faced Manaya at least a couple times. So it was very encouraging to see, as a fantasy owner, the type of starts that he's been able to make. So the last pitcher I want to talk about is someone that we haven't seen pitch in a really long time. And it was an amazing start against the Toronto Blue Jays, and that's Severino. Severino went 5 scoreless innings. He struck out Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 3 times. He went through the order 3 times, struck him out all 3 times.
Jeez.
That is not easy to do, because the night before that, Vladdy had 3 home runs.
With a cut-up hand.
Yeah, with a cut-up hand, bro. You saw that?
That's crazy.
Dude. Man. Well, I mean, what else can we do to make it so that, these guys don't get hurt on, like, little things like that? I guess all we can hope is that these guys can man up like Vladdy did and just go out there and just do what he does, man.
Just play.
It's kind of like the same thing like Trevor Bauer did a couple years ago with the Indians, when I believe it was the World Series, and he was pitching, and you could see the blood dripping from his pinky.
Yeah, I remember
that. He had a cut on his hand, and he's like, I got to go out there. That's what I do. I'm a competitor, and I like to see that, man. I really like to see that.
Kurt Schilling, remember that?
Yeah,
hell yeah.
All right, so one more pitcher that I want to talk about, and this is a little bit, he's a standout, but for the wrong reasons. He's actually going to be my pitching dud for the day, and that's Robbie Ray. Now, his first start actually wasn't too bad. He went 7 innings with 5 Ks, only 1 earned run. But the big problem with that start that we were hoping that, it wouldn't come back to haunt him is the walks, man. He had 4 walks. 4 walks against Minnesota. Still only allowed 1 run, which is great, but we don't want to see this guy walking. It's going to drive up his pitch count, so he can only go, 6 innings, maybe 7 instead of going 8 or 9. He did go 7 innings that day, so that was great to see in his first start of the season. But the next game that he had at the White Sox, he went 6 1/3, had 4 strikeouts, allowed 10 hits, 2 walks, and 6 earned runs. Now, ouch. We can't discount, anything that the White Sox do. The White Sox have a great squad.
They do.
Right? But to only get 4 strikeouts against the White Sox and to allow 2 walks against a team that doesn't really walk and to allow 10 hits, I mean, that's not something to not worry about,
Right.
When you got this guy super early in your draft. When you get a pitcher in the first 3 rounds or so, you're expecting an ace. And if you don't get that ace, it feels like a wasted draft pick. There's so many other players that you could have got around that time that have been doing better than he had. In a points league, man, I want to say he got like negative, what was it, like negative 11 points that day, I think.
Gee, I didn't even pay attention. I mean, I knew he didn't do that great on his first start. I didn't pick up on his second start, but
yeah, and the first start, it was really the walks that killed him. Everything else was actually on his stat line was fine. It was really just the walks that killed him. And then the second start, he gave up a lot of hard contact, 6 runs, man. You never want to see that from an ace. Hopefully this is just like a one and done, and we see some more quality pitching from him for the rest of the season, for all fantasy owners' sake.
So I'll do you one better. My pitching dud is Jose Berrios. He did first game. I think I don't even think he finished an inning. What was it? 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks. He hit a batter and no strikeouts. And then the second game, that was against Texas, mind you, at home against Texas. Then he goes against the Yankees, pitched a little better. He went 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 5 Ks. That gives you what? Fantasy point wise is like 1.5. This is like, he to me last year he had a breakout season. That was his breakout season last year for me. He was one of those dudes like Mckinsey Gore that I would hold on to when they were talking about him, top prospect, top pitching prospect. And then when I didn't actually pick him up on my squad, somebody else got to him and he pitched great last year. Goes to a different team, better offense, obviously. And that's what he does. And you're like, oh man, like you're not expecting that, from somebody that pitched the way he did last year. So that's my pitching dud for this week.
Well, one thing that I would like to kind of rebuttal against Jose Berrios that I've noticed in the past is Berrios does not pitch well in cold weather. And his first start on April 8th was in Toronto, and his second start was in New York. So cold weather in Toronto, cold weather in New York. I think that is possibly a reason, or at least an excuse, because I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. So that's what I keep on telling myself over and over again every time I look at his points. His second start, he got 9.5 points, so that's not too bad in the sense where he got some positive points, but overall he only has 1.5 points, because he had a negative 8 in his first start, so that hurts a little bit. But yeah, I'm still holding out hope that once the weather warms up a bit, that he's not going to have the issues that he has said in interviews before, that the cold weather has really hindered him. So,
I mean, hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the case
hopefully that's
because
the case for a lot of these pitchers.
yeah, yeah. It could be the whole spring training thing too. You know what I mean? It can all go back to that, but hopefully these guys that these top pitchers that you're used to seeing at the top of their game, and they're not like Robbie Ray, who you just talked about. Hopefully it's just like a temporary thing. The longer the season goes, the more you pitch, the more you get stretched out. Maybe you get a little bit more loose and stuff like that. So hopefully, these aces, they put in their work, and you know, they do their thing.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up our pitching news. So I do want to go over the injury report real quick. These are all the injuries that have happened since opening day, or if they were before opening day, they're on this list because they have an update. So first, Blake Snell left his start with a groin strain. Should probably miss like 2 starts, at least 2 starts. A groin strain is something that could possibly linger for a little bit, but hopefully he'll be back before the start of June. So give him at least 3. Expect him to be out three starts. Next is Lucas Giolito with an abdominal strain. He will miss 2 starts. Tony Lavulo, the manager of the White Sox, already said that he's really just going to miss 2 starts, and then he should be back in the rotation after that. So that's some good news. Lynn has a torn tendon in his right knee. So that actually happened, I think, in spring training.
Yeah.
He played catch this past Wednesday, and they're saying that he should be ready by early June to join the starting rotation. Luis Castillo has shoulder soreness. He will throw a live bullpen today, so it probably already happened. I believe this is his 3rd bullpen session that he's had. Today is the live bullpen, so he's actually going to be facing pitchers. Jack Flaherty has been cleared to start throwing, so he should be playing catch pretty soon and then start to ramp up. So we should see him by like mid-June or so. John Means has a left elbow strain, and that is not good when you're talking about a starting pitcher. Elbow strain, it's as Carlos has said many times in the past, every time he hears elbow strain when it comes to a pitcher, he automatically thinks Tommy John.
It's gonna lead into something else if it stays like that.
Yeah, I mean we've seen Jacob deGrom have
Yeah.
elbow issues. We've seen Kershaw have forearm issues. They call it a forearm issue, and that's actually exactly what John Means said. He said that he felt it in his forearm. MRI actually came back, and it said that it was an elbow strain.
That sucks.
So even if you feel it in your forearm, you don't really know what's going on until you get that MRI. So
yeah,
now he's going to be out for an extended amount of time. So for those John Means owners, you're going to have to, hopefully you have an IL slot that you can put him in. If not, I don't know. Do you think he's droppable?
Oh, I would wait until you get like a clear diagnosis of what it is that he actually has.
Like a time frame about when they think he should come back, or
I mean he could, but I wouldn't drop him just yet. I mean, especially if you have an IL spot, just dump him in there. I'm pretty sure, because of the whole COVID, depending on the manager, they expanded the IL spots. Maybe you got 4 or 5 IL spots. So it doesn't hurt for you to hold on to him. So I wouldn't just say screw it. I just kind of wait around and see what the news is going to be on him, in the next couple of weeks. What I wanted to say is about that the White Sox pitching, man. That's big, dude. That's Lance Lynn, right? And Giolito. Those are your like top 2 guys. And they're gonna be out. I mean, probably not for an extended period of time, but because I've heard White Sox fans, and they want them to sign somebody. And I was hearing about Frankie Montas, like for them signing him, and that they wanted, I guess, something. I guess what Chicago or what Oakland wanted from Chicago was too much or something like that. and they didn't want to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, I read something today that said that the White Sox are out on Frankie Montas. So
yeah,
I mean, why would you expect to get such a big return for a guy like Frankie Montas anyway? Like he's good, but top prospect.
I think they wanted too much. But it's like I guess what Chicago doesn't want to do is they don't want to fall behind. And I feel like with their pitching, that's a big hit. To me, what they're missing right now with Lynn and Giolito, that's huge. Even though they have a great order, they have a great batting order. Like who was it? Cease, right? That's their other pitcher. He pitched pretty good. He's been pitching pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But then who else do you have after that? Who you got?
Keuchel?
Who you got? You know what I mean? I mean, you know what? I know somebody picked them up in our league, in your league, and
I think that was like, Walter.
Yo, if he puts in work and he shows his old stuff, that's fine. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
Even so, man, in a points league, I don't want Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Even if he goes 6-7 innings, he'll get 2 strikeouts, maybe 3 strikeouts every single outing. He's the type of guy that he's going to try to put the ball on the ground every chance that he gets. And which is great if you have great infield behind you, which the White Sox do. You were mentioning the lineup that they have a great lineup, which is true also. But Moncada's out right now. Newly acquired AJ Pollock is out right now.
Wasn't he? Eloy was out for a minute too, right?
Was he? I know he just hit a monster bomb. He hit like a 476-foot home run.
Maybe I saw it like before, but he was like day to day or something. Like he had gotten hurt for whatever reason. I don't remember.
It's hard to keep up with all these injuries, man. I actually saw another one today. Oh, Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton got hurt.
Now
it says knee soreness, right? So how serious is that? It's got to be serious for a guy that's trying to steal bases.
He plays outfield, and he does all these amazing plays, and it's like, oh man, and you hate that because Buxton, when he's on it and he's healthy, he
plays like an MVP.
Dude, he is the guy that everybody was expecting him to be. And then when you hear him get hit, you're like, dude, again?
And it's like sometimes it hasn't even been his fault. Last year, he got hit on the wrist by a pitch. Yep. It's like, man, this guy just has really, really bad luck. Kind of like the whole White Sox organization right now. Like, sorry, Jasper. Like, it sucks right now. But, dude, you guys have just gotten bit by the injury bug. It's like this guy and then this guy and then this guy and then this guy. It's like, man, when is it going to stop? You know what? It's better for it to happen in the beginning of the season.
True.
Let guys get healthy and warm up. So that way, by the time the postseason rolls around, when you have 14 teams going into the postseason, the White Sox are definitely going to be there. They're still probably going to win the division.
I don't see there's a lot of people expecting them to win the World Series, as a matter of fact. So
there's a lot of good starting rotations out there, and a lot of good lineups. So it's going to be a fun season, to say the least.
Yep.
So I already mentioned AJ Pollock. He had a right hamstring strain, and same thing, outfielder who steals a few bases, 8 to 10 every year. That's a big hit potentially for fantasy owners, especially in a categories league. I wouldn't want him in a points league, but in a categories league, the 20 to 25 home runs, him playing every day or was supposed to play every day, and the 10 stolen bases, that's something that people are going to be losing out on. There's not really a lot out there either on the waiver wire. So there's a few guys that are, that we'll go over later that are on the most added list, but it just sucks for the White Sox, losing AJ Pollock and losing Moncada. I'm hoping both of them come back healthy. It'll be an exciting team to watch. And
definitely.
Next guy is Teoscar Hernandez. He left with an oblique strain. For a big power hitter like that, an oblique strain is not the greatest thing in the world. That's going to be something that he's going to be compensating for when he starts taking swings. So look for him to get off to a somewhat of a cold start when he gets back. But I think maybe 3 weeks or so after he gets back, I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
And we saw Jonathan India leave the game yesterday with hamstring tightness. So they're saying that he could still possibly play Saturday's game tomorrow. So they gave him the day off today. A young guy like that, hopefully he'll bounce back pretty quick, but a hamstring strain, India, he steals bases too. He plays second base, so he doesn't move. He doesn't run around the field too much when he's, defensively. But as a second baseman, you need those muscles to not be so agitated, so you can move quickly left or right. The range has to be there. So hopefully he'll, it was something like very, very minor, and hopefully he'll be back tomorrow.
Hopefully.
That's still to be determined. But, now we were saying with the National League DH, he could possibly get some extra days off. So have him DH for a couple games. Who else are the Reds have that they can DH? Jesse Winker's gone. Eugenio Suarez is gone. Give him a couple days off and just let him hit.
Yep. There you go.
All right. So now we go into our hitter standouts. So I already kind of mentioned earlier, Vladdy's 3 strikeouts. It was actually 4 strikeouts in the game. It was 3 from Severino. But the day before, 3 homers in 1 game. It's exciting to see that in the beginning of the season like this. We kind of already knew, like, oh, it's Vladdy. He's going in the first round, top 3 picks or something like that, and he'll just pick up where he left off last year, and he'll be a great, top 3 pick. And that's exactly what he's been doing, man. He does strike out a lot, but most power hitters do. If he can hit more than 40 home runs, who cares if he strikes out 160 times in a season?
Yeah, true.
He doesn't steal bases, but that's okay. As long as he can sustain his batting average from, about 285 to 290-ish. I believe he ended the season a little bit higher than that last year, and just a shitload of home runs, and what more could you ask for? And one player that we were looking at last year that we actually picked up in the World Podcast League, he was hurt for most of the season, just like his teammate Eloy Jimenez. That's Luis. We call him Luis Robert. I actually heard. I heard on a podcast the other day.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, that's crazy.
We're gonna call him Luis Robert from now on. So Luis Robert has 4 stolen bases in the first week of the season. Now, he came up as a rookie with good speed power combination. We haven't really seen the speed aspect of his game yet. I believe he had 8 stolen bases total last year. He was hurt for most of the year, but he still had close to 300 plate appearances and only eight stolen bases. So now in the first week of the season, and he has 4 already.
Yeah, hey.
He was going like at the end of the first, beginning of the second round. If he's doing stuff like this, and I believe he's batting over 400 as well, if he keeps on playing like this, not a 400 batting average, because that's just not sustainable, but 300 batting average, which he's held onto throughout his minor league career and the majors, and 4 stolen bases in the first week. How many weeks are in the season? You got 6 months times 4, 24 weeks, so 24 times 4, that's almost 100 stolen bases. He's not going to get 100 stolen bases, but I think that 60, 65 is
it's feasible,
doable if he can stay healthy, man.
Yep. That's all that matters, is if you can stay healthy and sustain that kind of average. Man, that's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, man. He had a lot of hype, coming up as a rookie, and it really sucked to see him just kind of take a dive last year when he got hurt.
Yeah.
But it's great to see what he's doing now. And now we want to talk about the most added player, and I believe you have that one, right?
Most added.
The most added hitter in the last week in fantasy baseball. The guy that you said, I've never even heard about this guy.
Owen Miller?
Owen Miller.
Oh, it's such a freaking household name.
Right?
Yeah, I honestly, I've never really heard of him. up until now.
I never really heard about him either, and I believe that the reason why we never heard about him is because this guy just doesn't have much power.
Mm-hmm.
He gets on base a lot. He gets a lot of hits. His minor league record, I believe it was like the first 3 seasons, the lowest that he had for batting average was a 297.
Oh,
he
wow.
had like a 337 and like a 357. Like the dude just hits. You know, he's like a Pete Rose, like just crazy contact level, right? But no power. So last season, 2021, he had 191 at bats and he had 4 home runs. So in a full season, that kind of calculates close to about 15 home runs,
more or less.
And he's first base, second base eligible. When you have a first baseman, those are usually the guys that you get your power from, first and third base, the corner infielders. So if you do have this guy, I think he would more slot into your corner infield, middle infield, or utility spot. I think this guy's more suitable for points leagues rather than categories leagues. For one, he plays on the Guardians, who aren't going to score that many runs unless you're Jose Ramirez, because you're just
see,
hitting standout that we should have talked about.
Yep.
We can bring after this guy, but so last season he had 8 doubles in 191 at bats. He already has 5 in only 21 at bats. He's 11 for 21. And if this guy is available in your league, if you are in a points league, it is time to pick this guy up. You can't wait on this guy because someone's going to pick him up. He is currently 39% rostered in Yahoo. When I checked yesterday, he was only 7% rostered in Yahoo.
Oh, damn.
So that went up a
huge jump. That's a huge jump.
He high contact level, which is great for a points league, good plate discipline. He has 2 strikeouts in 21 at-bats. So last year he had 54 strikeouts in 191 at bats. Now that's kind of high. That's pretty high. But when you're making as much contact as he does, I think that the points that you're going to get from the hits that he's going to get, it kind of compensates for that.
Right.
So we already mentioned Jose Ramirez, so let's go ahead and talk about Jose Ramirez.
Beast.
He has the most points in fantasy baseball right now. And who expected that? Nobody.
Nope.
So 63 points so far in the 2020.
I would have said like top 10, definitely, but not number 1.
Right. I mean, who knows what Tatis would have done if he was healthy? But this guy's definitely taking advantage. So actually, Jasper, that has a bunch of comments on the side right there, he owns Jose Ramirez in our league, so that was a great first round pick.
I'm hating.
You must be happy to.
I'm hating.
Get all those points from him. So he has 3 home runs currently, which is only 1 behind the leader, which is Vlad. Vlad has 4. 14 RBI. He's the league leader in RBIs right now. 14 RBI in a single week.
That's crazy good.
That is crazy. No stolen bases yet, but it's probably just because he's hitting the ball so damn hard. He gets on second or third basically every time that he gets up there, so he doesn't have a chance to steal a base. But he's 12 for 25. He's batting over 400. That's definitely not sustainable. He's more of like a 260 to 265 hitter with really good pop and amazing sprint speed.
He's so consistent, bro.
He really is.
This guy is, and it sucks that he's on a shitty team, for now, but man,
actually, I believe they just gave him an extension. Oh yeah, Guardians make extension for Jose Ramirez official to a 7-year, $141 million contract.
Well, he's gonna be a Guardian for life,
right?
Man, but this guy, dude,
that is like $20 million a year.
That's crazy.
$20 million a year. This guy's worth more than that. Why would he take that? What a dummy. Anyway, I mean, we're seeing guys like Freddie Freeman get $31 million a year. Yep. Corey Seager get $30 million for a year. I mean, Mike Trout, obviously, best player in baseball. He deserves that. But Jose Ramirez, I think he definitely deserves a little bit more.
You still think Mike Trout is the best player in baseball?
When he's healthy, yes, definitely.
Right.
The problem is he's 31. He's not getting any younger. He keeps on getting hurt. Last week he was day to day. He didn't have an injury. It was actually just an illness, a stomach illness. But yeah,
that sucks, man. The guy has, oh man, he's a fucking beast, dude. And for you to just like go every season hoping that he has a healthy full season and it doesn't happen is just like, it sucks for fans. It sucks for
especially
fans.
last year, because last year was just a calf strain, and you're like, oh, it's a calf strain. He'll be back in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. He was out the whole season, man. He did not come back at all.
That sucks.
Yeah. So
That sucks,
now
man.
it's like,
As a baseball fan, it sucks. I hate the Angels, by the way, but you know, Trout, he's a great player when he's healthy, and I hope that this season is a lot different than his previous couple of seasons where the injury bugs just bit him in the ass, and he hasn't really played to his full potential that we know that he can do. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah, injuries in sports are just kind of synonymous. You would hope that a game like baseball kind of it keeps the injuries away,
Yeah.
But, I mean,
it's a less contact sports than the other ones.
You're not contacting with other players, but you're
Yeah.
definitely contacting with other items, with other objects, right?
Right.
We've seen guys run into the wall in the outfield. We've seen guys get hit by pitches. We've seen by pitchers get hit by comebackers. We've seen catchers in previous seasons getting tackled by the base runner, or the guy sliding into second base, breaking up the double play. The Chase Utley thing, that baseball is trying to make it so that way they can protect these guys.
Or the Buster Posey thing too.
The universal DH. What was that?
The Buster Posey thing. Remember that?
Exactly. That's why base runners can't truck the catcher anymore, man. They still do it in college, and they still do it in high school, and I think they can still do it in little league too. So honestly, man, it's like most MLB players stay healthy for the most part, compared to other sports. You got boxing, UFC, football. Football's a big one. Basketball is another one that's not really like a contact sport, but because of the fast twitch movement, guys' ankles and knees, and basically their whole lower body is getting hurt on a somewhat weekly basis or whatever. So honestly, I like the idea of being able to truck the catcher at home. Like, I'm gonna run into you. I'm gonna tackle you, so that way you drop the ball.
I think that's awesome. I hate that they took that away.
Yeah, I mean, usually obviously any catcher, any player that is a catcher is like, oh no, I don't want to get trucked. I'm just here to play baseball. But when you're thinking fantasy baseball, when you're thinking just as a fan, it's like losing a catcher. Unless it's like the top like 6 or 7 catchers, it's like it's not really that big of a deal to lose a catcher. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's going to change. I think that MLB is gearing towards trying to keep everyone healthy as long as possible, which is why they introduced the National League DH. So that way pitchers don't have to hit, and we don't see guys like Madison Bumgarner getting hit on the wrist by a pitch.
Yeah. Fuck it.
All right. Anyways,
might work out in the long
run. Let's see what else we got. Injury report. We already did that. Vlad, Luis Robert, Owen Miller, Mckinsey Gore. We already talked about him. All right. So now we are going to go into week 2 start pitchers. So Javi, before the show, I asked you to give me 2 of the 2 start pitchers to give to the audience, to recommend that they pick these guys up. So if you guys are looking ahead for week 2, if you have any acquisitions left and you want to get ahead of the game, we do have a couple pitchers for you guys that you can pick up and be a little early.
Damn, I thought I wrote this shit down. Okay, hold on. Hold on, let me go to my notes real quick because I did write this down somewhere.
Let's see. I remember you did tell me Cole Irvin.
Yeah, Irvin has he pitches for the A's, right? He has what does he got? Oh shit. Oh, he's got Baltimore at home and Texas at home. And
Yeah, those are really
I
good
believe,
matchups.
yeah, and I believe last season he pitched pretty decent. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think he pitched pretty decent. He has pretty good stuff. Um, and for two starts against those two squads, I wouldn't mind picking him up if he is available. The other
So
guy,
he's definitely available because right now in Yahoo he is only 4% rostered.
there you go.
So I would imagine that would go up a little bit because people are going to see in their fantasy leagues that he is going to be a 2-star pitcher next week.
Yeah.
Like you said Baltimore and who else?
Texas.
And Texas, yeah.
And they're both home, and they're both home games. So I mean, I know Oakland isn't the best offensive squad, but you always take advantage of that home field. And when you're playing, Baltimore, I'm not saying that they have real bad offenses, but they're not one of those top tier teams that you know, you would think of, like maybe the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Red Sox or somebody like that. You know what I mean? The other guy I have is Mcgill. He has a matchup against San Francisco, which is not an easy matchup, but it is at home. And then he's got a matchup against Arizona at Arizona. The only reason I picked him is because of what he's done in his previous two starts. We talked about him earlier, and to me, it looks like he's coming into his own. Looks like he's gonna break out. If he can pitch well against the Giants, I think that this guy's gonna have a breakout season. I honestly do because that Giants lineup, we know what they can do. 107 wins last season, right? 107,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
107.
So I mean, if and then who was it that Manaya, right, pitched against them? So they're susceptible. You know, you could do something against the Giants. And because it's a home game, I honestly think that he can do good in these two starts, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
And so those are
Um,
my two guys for next week.
Yeah, I really like Miguel, as you do, and apparently the rest of the fantasy world likes him too because he's already up to 78% rostered.
Whoa.
Yeah, so
Oh.
I don't even think that he was drafted in most leagues, and to
Yep.
get up that high, this guy has a lot of hype about him right now. So we will see what he does against the Giants on Monday. And if he's a bust that day, we're gonna see his ownership rating go down a lot. But I've seen him pitch, I've seen his stuff, and honestly, this is a guy that I wouldn't let go if I still had him. So
Yeah.
um, I I really like your picks, and I'm going to add one more to the mix just because I really like this guy, and honestly, I don't care who he's facing. Even facing the Dodgers, even facing the Braves, some good lineups like that. This week he actually has a really tough matchup against Houston at Houston. That's Michael Lorenzen. So Michael Lorenzen has kind of
Mm,
bounced around from a couple different teams. He was on the Reds. I believe now he is on the Angels, and he came up as a starting pitcher. He only has relief pitcher eligibility because last year he was in the bullpen
yeah.
for the whole year. That's basically been his career is in the bullpen, but he's been stretched out. His last outing was against Miami, and it was at home at Angel Stadium. He went 6 innings, 7 Ks, only allowed 2 hits and 1 earned run. So 28 points on his first start of the season. Looks like he has Houston at Houston, and then his second start is Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore at home at Angel Stadium. So Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon. The Angels lineup isn't looking too bad. So they can definitely give him some run support, more than he had with Cincinnati. And now that this guy is stretched out, honestly, I don't understand why he was a reliever in the first place. I play a lot of MLB The Show. I don't know if you play MLB The Show.
Yeah.
I've every time we have a show, an episode of Real Talk Baseball, because I play the show so much, if there's a pitcher that I'm going to talk about, I like to use him on the game and kind of get a feel of like what he throws, because the game's pretty accurate. It'll what he has. This guy has 6 different pitches, dude.
Shit.
Why does he have 6 pitches and he was only in the bullpen? Why wasn't he used as a starter? And he can actually go 6 innings. He just went 6 innings, less than a week ago, when majority of the league is only going 5 or less.
5. Yep.
So I really like this guy. I really like Mike Lorenzen. And I don't know if you've seen him, but this guy is freaking jacked, dude. His arms.
I heard of him.
Huge.
I haven't seen him pitch. I
believe he was actually a position player as well. I think he played like shortstop or something. But he came up as a potential 2-way player, kind of similar to like Shohei Ohtani, had that shot like Shohei Ohtani did. And now with pitchers not hitting, I doubt he'll ever have that chance anymore. Especially because he probably hasn't hasn't hit in a while. So it's not like they're like you can just like stop doing something for a couple years and then come back to it and think that you could still hit on MLB level. But I really like this guy, man. So my pick, Mike Lorenzen. Javi's pick, we got Tyler Mcgill and
Cole Irvin.
That's right. So go out there, go to the waiver wire,
pick them up.
Those are our three ads that we are suggesting you guys pick up. If you have any questions about who you might need to drop to pick up those guys, we have email, realtalkbaseball@yahoo.com. You can go to our Instagram, just search Real Talk Baseball. We have Facebook, Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. We have a Twitter, R Talk Fantasy Baseball, and TikTok, Real Talk Baseball. So, Tony, if you don't have anything else, I called you Tony. My bad.
Oh my god, dude! I'm going to roast you for this shit, man.
I'm sorry, dude. Honestly, the reason why I did that is because I see Tony's text right here. You guys seen my trade? Like, bro, don't you know we're doing a freaking podcast right now?
I'll slap this guy.
Sorry, man. All right, Javi. Do you have anything else?
No, man. I'm good, man. Just good luck to those that are, fighting for fantasy points right now. Got my boy Joe Ryan hooked me up today. Didn't see that coming against Boston.
Joe Ryan, man. I told you I was eyeing that guy in the draft. I really wanted to get him, and then
dude,
I got snatched him right before I got a chance to, dude.
Bro, I got so worked up about it the first game he had. I was like, man, rookie starting right, and then he takes a dump pretty much. And I'm looking at his next matchup against the Red Sox, and I'm like, oh, man, at Boston, shit, he showed up. I was hyped about that.
Yeah, man, especially against a solid lineup like that, too.
Yeah, definitely, man. But, but that's pretty much it for me, bro.
All right, man. Well, it was a good show. I'm glad, we got a chance to do this. Too bad Carlos and Tony weren't able to join us today. They had previous engagements that they weren't able to get around. But yeah, I love that we were able to get on here and hopefully give some good content to everyone that's listening. And if you pick up those players that we were talking about, hopefully, they give you a chance to win your week. So for Real Talk Baseball, I'm Will Power. This is Javi. And that's it. Signing out. See you guys.
All right, Joe.